Good morning, church. It is Monday morning, so it's time for some Motivational Monday. My name is Christopher Donnell, and I'm pastor here at Urbana United Methodist Church. So glad that you're joining with us today and kicking your week off, hopefully with a little bit of motivation. It's not Try It Again Tuesday, although that might be a thing going forward, as last week missed Motivational Monday due to some crazy events, and we had Try It Again Tuesday. So that's how it goes sometimes. And so hopefully that you can experience that grace in your life to always have a try it again Tuesday, even though you weren't really on, you were trying to get motivated on Monday. But today's motivation, hopefully, that you feel motivated after hearing this, is the reminder that we're not alone. And been looking a lot at Jesus lately and how he was fully God, yet fully man. And I think that is just when we start to try to figure that out, our brain almost like shorts out and we just kind of like stare off, like screensaver mode comes on. But we see Jesus do miracles, so you're like, yeah, he's a son of God. Yet we find his humanity in some parts of Scripture as well. And I was reminded when Lazarus dies, his good friend Lazarus, Mary and Martha send for Jesus to come, and they plead with Jesus, hey, come and save our brother. He's sick, and Jesus kind of just stalls, and he gets word finally that he passed away, and he meets the ladies out as he's entering the scene, and they said, if only you would have been here, Lord, he would have lived. And then it goes on to say that Jesus wept. Jesus was sad. This was one of his best buddies, his favorite friends. And so we also know in a few scenes and just a few moments in that scripture that he raises Lazarus from the dead. So he fixes the situation, right? So why would Jesus stop and cry? Why would he stop and weep? Why would he even go into that emotional state when he knew he had the power and could fix and change anything? Well, I just think that, again, that speaks to his humanity, that he was fully God, yet fully human. He could raise the dead, yet he cried with those when there was death. And I think that is a great picture and reminder of why Jesus is so vital for us, that we're not alone. We don't have to do this thing by ourselves with somebody who is irrelevant. Jesus is so relevant. He wept with those who wept and mourned with those who mourned. He rejoiced with those who rejoiced. And we even get this picture as we're moving into Easter and Palm Sunday, and Jesus, his death on the cross, and ultimately his marvelous resurrection. But the moments leading up to that, where he was feeling the weight of what was to happen and the fear of going to the cross and dying. I mean, you hear him pleading with God in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he says, if there's any other way that this can happen, let's do something else. This is not my first choice, Lord. And ultimately he goes to the cross. But here in Hebrews chapter 5, 7-9, the NIRV, we read this: Jesus prayed while he lived on earth. He made his appeal with sincere cries and tears. He prayed to the God who could save him from death. God answered Jesus because he truly honored God. Jesus was God's son, but by suffering, he learned what it means to obey. In this way, he was made perfect. Eternal salvation comes from him. He saves those all who obey him. So here we see both pictures of the human part of Jesus and the God-man Jesus, and that is where he prayed. Jesus prayed. He prayed to God. Like, he knew where his help and where his source came from. He never did anything that he never heard or saw the Father do. He was connected. He prayed. He was dependent on God. He made his appeal with sincere cries and tears. Again, here we see Jesus crying. That's not typically how we think of God, or even maybe how we romanticize Jesus, that he is a strong, figure who leads and is, sure, he's compassionate and full of grace, but yet I tend to think of him as a strong, stoic person. I mean, yes, again, compassionate, full of grace, but also strong, that we can lean on. Yet here we see him crying and in tears, the same with he experiences Lazarus' death. And he prayed that God would save him from death. I mean, here he cries out like, Lord, save me. But then we're reminded that he was God's son, and that he suffered led to our salvation, and that's the supernatural part. Eternal salvation comes from him. and that's where he is God. So I say all of this because we're not alone. We are in relationship with Jesus, a God who knows exactly what it feels like to be sad, a God who feels like, who knows what it's like to be disappointed, who wants an ulterior ending to a situation. He wanted something different, yet he took what was given to him. He obeyed, even in the middle of not wanting that outcome. So the motivation today is you have Jesus, and hopefully you have a church and you have a community that allows you to be you and to be reminded that you're not alone. So that is the motivation, that we get to be in relationship with a God who loves us, who knows what we're experiencing, who feels what we feel, and loves us in spite of that, and can actually help us in those situations. So the motivation this week, you're not alone. Lean into Jesus, whether through scripture, prayer, your community of believers, your church, family, to be reminded that we have hope together, even in the middle of pain and in our joy. Hope you have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.